You are listening to episode number 38 of the Everything Ham Radio podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the RST Reporting System. We're going to have our winner announced for the Nanuk 904 case provided by gigparts.com. We're going to be talking about the Moore County Amateur Radio Society and so much more. So, stick around and stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, this is Curtis. My call sign is Kilo 5 Charlie Lima Mike, and I am your host for this podcast. You can find any links that we're going to be talking about, any additional information, and a whole bunch of other stuff in the show notes of this episode at everythingham.com/podcast/38. That's the number 38. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/everythinghamradio, on YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio. You can find me on Twitter at K5CLM, my call sign, Kilo 5 Charlie Lima Mike. You can find me on iHeartRadio now. You can listen to me on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all those great places to listen. So, thank you very much for listening. Today we're going to be talking about the RST Reporting System. We're going to be getting into that here in just 1 minute. We are also going to be announcing the winner of the Nanuk 904 case, and I don't know if I'm going to do it right now or if I want to do it a little bit later. I think I might do it just a little bit later, maybe on one of the commercials, to build the suspense for it. Yeah, that I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the reporting system. We're going to be talking about the Moore County Amateur Radio Society in the Amateur Radio Club Spotlight. We got a whole bunch of upcoming events, contests and whatnot, a whole bunch of Hamfest coming up. So we're going to be busy this episode like normal. So yeah, so what do you say we get started, shall we? So in this episode, we're going to be talking about the RST reporting system. Now, I'm sure that if you have been on HF at all, or even sometimes on VHF FM or something like that, you might have heard somebody say that, oh, you're 5'9", or you're 5'7", or 3'6", or whatever, some kind of number. But maybe you're not exactly sure what that means. Well, you've come to the right place. We're going to talk about it today. So, back in 1934, an amateur radio operator by the name of Arthur W Braaten, W2BSR, came up with the current reporting system that we use today. At the time, there wasn't any standardized system in place that amateur radio operators could use to tell the transmitting station what their side of things sounded like. Of course, they could have just used the S meter on the radios that they had if they had an S meter on their radio. Well, a lot of radios back then didn't really have them. So there really wasn't a way for them to tell how they sounded. Now, they could have said, oh, you're a S3 or an S5 or whatever. But unfortunately with HF, it's a little bit different than it is on FM, on VHF or UHF, because on VHF, if you have like an S1 or S1 to S3, something like that, you're probably going to be extremely noisy. You're probably not going to be able to be understood very easily. However, on HF, it's a totally different beast. You can have an S1 or an S3 and still be totally readable. Now, on the flip side of that, you might also hear people saying, well, you're a S9 plus 20. And what that means is that you are, a 5.9 plus 20. What that means is they're mixing the RST system with their S meter. And that means basically you have a very strong signal that on their S meter, you'll see, or on a S meter, you'll see how it says S1 through S9, and then it says plus 10, plus 20, and plus 30, I believe is what most of them go up to. And basically they're telling you that they're receiving your signal so strongly that it's going way up past S9 to plus 20. So they're giving you the RST report of 5.9, and then they're also giving you the S meter report of plus 20, so you have a very strong signal. So how exactly does the RST system work? What does 5.9 mean? Well, the RST stands for Readability, Strength, and Tone. Okay, I know we've just been saying 5.9, so what does the third number mean? Well, the third number is tone, like I just said. Each component, it breaks down your transmission on how the receiving party hears it. The readability and the strength is typically all you'll give on a voice communication. When you're using CW is when you'll have that third component, the tone component. So you'll say something like 599 or something like that if you have a really good signal. And that 9 on the tone portion of RST means that their tone was very clear and very crisp and easy to understand. But we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. So let's break down what each of these parts mean: the readability, strength, and tone. First off, we're going to be talking about readability. The official definition of readability, according to Wikipedia anyways, is a qualitative assessment of how easy or difficult it is to correctly copy the information being sent during the transmission. So when you're using CW, it refers to how easy or difficult it is to distinguish the characters of the message being received. In voice, it basically refers to how easy or difficult it is to understand what the transmitting station is saying. Now, the readability part of the RST system is measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And I guess basically I'll go ahead and say what each one of them is. I am going to have little images in the show notes you can look at, as well as a full chart where you can look at as well. Readability, basically 1 is totally unreadable. 2 is barely readable, occasional words are distinguishable. 3 is readable with considerable difficulty. 4 is readable with practically no difficulty, and 5 is perfectly readable. So if you are listening to somebody and you're hearing it just like you're hearing this podcast now, it would be a 5. If you're, say, listening to somebody and you can catch pretty much every word, and you're not really having any difficulty doing it, then it's going to be like a 4. If you hear just a bunch of noise and you hear like every third or fourth word, then it's going to be like a 2. Okay, so let's talk about the S part of the RST system. S stands for strength, and strength is the power of the signal coming in. Now, this can simply be done by looking at your S meter on your radio and giving what it corresponds with. So if you're receiving like a S5, the signal strength part of the RST system could be a 5. Now, like I said before, you will hear people say something like a 5.9 plus 20, and that just means that the signal is so strong that it goes past the S9 on the S meter. And the S part of the RST system is broken down into 9 things, basically just like your S1 through your S9. However, not exactly. 1 on the signal strength range means a faint signal or barely perceptible. 2 is very weak signal, 3 is weak signal, 4 is fair signals, 5 is fairly good signal, 6 is good signal, 7 is moderately strong signal, 8 is strong signal, and 9 is extremely strong signal. So if you go by just this 1 through 9 chart, somebody that's 5.9 plus 20 is basically a 9. So it's kind of an extra component to say that plus 20. But people do it, and it's typically, your S part of the RST system is typically what the S meter says on your radio is what people give. Okay, so on to tone now. The T in the RST reporting system stands for tone. And like I said, this part is typically only used for CW or possibly digital modes. And it basically refers to the sound of the tone itself. And tone is measured on a scale of 1 to 9, just like strength is. However, there's no S meter to look at. So tone, like I said, is broken down into 1 through 9, and 1 means a 60 cycle AC or less, very rough and broad. 2 is very rough AC, very harsh and broad. 3 is rough AC tone, rectified but not filtered. 4 is rough note, some trace of filtering. 5 is filtered, rectified AC, but strongly rippled modulated. 6 is filtered tone, definite trace of ripple modulation. 7, near pure tone, trace of ripple modulation. 8 is near perfect tone, slight trace of modulation. And 9 is perfect tone, no trace of ripple or modulation of any kind. Now, I'm not a CW guy, and I really don't do a whole lot of digital. I think I've maybe done it once as far as the HF side of things go. So I really don't know exactly what, a rough AC tone rectified but not filtered thing would be. So, but anyways, that's what they stand for, and that's what tone is. Basically just how the tone sounds. Now, I have read some articles that say they're trying to change the way the RST system is. And they're actually trying to change the T in the RST system to Q for quality. The reasoning is that the tone part is a limited feature, being only used by CW and digital mode. Whereas if it was changed to quality, it could be used for voice as well to tell about the quality of your signal. But my question is basically, isn't that basically the same thing as the readability? I mean, what do y'all think? I mean, what's y'all's thoughts on this? Should the RST system be changed from RST to RSQ to give one more thing? Even if it does, I mean, it's probably still going to be used. Okay, yeah, you're 5'9". I mean, that's probably going to be all that's used. So, but anyways, what's y'all's opinion on it? Leave a comment in the show notes and let me know. Alright, so now that we've actually talked about the RST reporting system as far as what each of the letters mean, let's talk a little bit about something different but the same as well. Now, if you send QSL cards or do like Logbook of the World or EQSL or something like that, you probably noticed that there is a spot on the QSL cards or the QSO entries that is marked for the RST. Now, sometimes I've noticed that I just have a 5.9 report on the QSL cards that I have gotten. And granted, it might have been a 5.9 whenever I was talking to him. It might have been like a 5.5 or something. Who knows? He may not remember after the weeks or months or even potentially years after a QSO when you get a QSL card. Now, this happens a lot, especially when you're doing contesting. Maybe you have 500 contacts that you have to, or QSL cards you have to send out because that's how many contacts you made during whatever contest you were in. It might be maybe that you have so many that you maybe just get lazy and just put a 5.9 in the RST field. It might be that maybe you didn't write it down when you made the contact, so you don't remember what it was. Either way, you still need to make sure that you put down correct information. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is this, okay? As ham radio operators, we are supposed to be passing information on with the utmost accuracy, especially during emergencies. So why should it be any different when there's not an emergency, right? So as a 911 telecommunicator, I've learned that when you learn something and you do something every day, you tend to, whatever you're doing tends to become like muscle memory. You just automatically do it. If you don't do it every day, or you don't do it correctly every day, then when it comes time for some kind of heightened activity, like a disaster or something, you're going to be doing it the wrong way. So why not do it the right way all the time? That way, when you get stressed, or when there's an emergency, or something along those lines, your body will just kind of take over and you'll do it the correct way all the time. On another note of that, my dad always told me that if something wasn't worth doing right, it wasn't worth doing at all. So, there's two things. Your muscle memory will take over when you're stressed out, or in time of a disaster or something like that. And if it's not done, or not worth doing right, it's not worth doing at all. So those are two very good reasons why to make sure and do it right the first time, every time. So there you go. What exactly why it's so important as far as the receiving person goes, it's probably really not. I mean, yeah, I would like the most accurate information on the QSL card, but it really, I wouldn't think really matters as far as the receiving station goes. But as far as the person sending goes, definitely try to do it right the first time and every time. That way, something like that doesn't happen when you're stressed, or when you're in a pileup, or something like that. Do it right the first time and every time, and your body will automatically do it. So, to wrap up here, readability is how well you can understand the person talking or the message being received. Strength is how strong the signal is, whether that's just a S1 through S9 meter reading. If you're an S5, you're an S on the strength range, or whether you go a step further and actually say what each of the number means. Tone is really only used in CW and digital, and it's basically how clear the sound of the tone is. Accurate reporting, make sure that you do it right the first time, every time. That way you don't do it wrong when it means the most. And lastly, my question: what do y'all think about changing the T in the RST system, or RST system, to quality instead? Give me your thoughts on that. Go to the show notes, everythinghamradio.com/podcast/38, and leave your comments there. What do y'all think about that? So I guess that about wraps it up for this portion of this episode. So I guess on to the Club Spotlight. Are you looking for some new radio equipment? Maybe a computer for your ham shack? Or maybe you just need to find that piece from your tower that fell and you need a metal detector. All this and so much more can be found at Gigaparts. So head on over to gigaparts.com and check them out. While you're there, check out the Nanuk cases. These things are great cases, waterproof and hard plastic cases with soft foam insides that are totally customizable. Check them out. Find one that you like and buy it. At checkout, enter the coupon code of ETH038 for 10% off of your purchase of your Nanuk case. So head on over to gigaparts.com right now and check them out. Alright, so before we move on and announce the winner of the Nanuk 904 giveaway, I really want to thank gigaparts.com for their continued support. This is the second item that they have donated to this podcast to give away. There's also a coupon code for a discount for any Nanuk case. It's also the second coupon code that they've given us. I want to thank each and every one of y'all that has taken advantage of those coupon codes. I don't know how many of y'all have taken advantage of this one so far, but I know last one there was like 5 or 6 y'all, I believe, that took advantage of that. So if you haven't done so already, please go over to gigaparts.com, find you a Nanuk case that you like. These cases are really super awesome, very customizable, waterproof, shock resistant, all that good stuff. So they are awesome cases. I wish I could keep this one myself, but that just wouldn't be right. So, and I'm sure that Ken would not like me very much if I kept it. So I guess I just gave it away, didn't I? The winner of this yellow Nanuk 904 case is Ken Dahl. Kilo Delta 4 Victor Alpha. So Ken, please send me an email with your snail mail address and I will get this in the mail to you ASAP. Hopefully you will receive it by the end of the week and you can let me know what you think about it. I guess without further ado, we will continue on with this episode. Again, thank you to gigaparts.com for their continued support, and thank each and every one of y'all for taking advantage of these coupon codes that they have been giving me. It really helps me and helps them. So I guess let's move on to the club spotlight. Alrighty, welcome back. Today in our Amateur Radio Club Spotlight, we are talking about the Moore County Amateur Radio Society. You can find them online at www.mocars.org. That's mocars.org. There's also a link in the show notes where you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/NC4ML. It's November Charlie 4 Mike Lincoln. Or, yeah, I think it's L. I think that's what that Lincoln is. I was getting confused mixing up between law enforcement and ham radio. Anyways, they have meetings on the third Thursday of every month, except for December, at the Moore County Health Department at 205 Pinehurst Avenue in Carthage at 7 p.m. Doors usually open just after 6 p.m. for people to come and rag chew, according to their website. Occasionally, meetings are held at other locations when special interests are addressed, but typically it's going to be at that location. They have one repeater in Carthage, North Carolina. It's the 147.240 repeater. It has a positive offset and a PL tone of 91.5. They have 2 nets weekly. They have a 2-meter net that is on Sundays and Wednesdays, starting at 8 p.m. on the 147.240 repeater. They also have a 6-meter net, the Sand Hills 6-meter net, on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. on 50.200 upper sideband, 50.200 on the upper sideband. What did this club do? This club actually does quite a bit of stuff. You can go to the show notes and check that out. There is a link where it says activities that'll take you to their activity page for more information about the stuff that they do. But just to list them off, they do field day, they do winter field day, they do a Uwharrie Mountain Run, a Southern Pine Spring Fest, Carthage Buggy Festival, Baden Bomber Crash 1944, Moore County Fair Sardine Festival, I guess, Uwharrie 100, Simulated Emergency Training, Christmas Lunch. So, like I said, this sounds like a really active club. So if you are going to be in the Carthage, North Carolina area on a Sunday or Wednesday night, maybe a Monday night, or even a Thursday night, the 4th or the 3rd Thursday of the month, that is, check out the Moore County Amateur Radio Society and tell them I sent you. Alright, so that about wraps up the what is this thing called? The Amateur Radio Club Spotlight. Yeah, that's what it is. So we're going to head on to upcoming events. So here we go. Alrighty, so on to upcoming events.
Now, I haven't heard any of y'all say that you didn't want to hear these type things, so I'm going to continue to do them until I get some feedback on whether or not you like them or not. But I'm going to go ahead and do them. So we're going to do them fast, like I said, and you can find all these as well as links to what each one of these are in the show notes at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/38. Okay, so on to the events of this episode. We have the NRAU 10-meter activity contest from 1700 to 1800 Zulu on October the 6th will be on CW. From 1800 to 1900 will be single sideband. 1900 to 2000 will be FM, and 2000 to 2100 will be digital. All that on October the 6th. The SARL 80-meter QSO party will be from 1700 to 2000 Zulu on October the 6th. The NCCC RTTY sprint from 145 to 215 Zulu on October the 7th. The regular NCCC sprint from 230 to 300 hours Zulu time on October the 7th. The Marcothrin RTT contest will be from 0 Zulu to 759 on October the 8th, as well as 1600 to 2359 on October the 8th, and on the 9th from 0800 to 1559. Oceania DX contests on CW will be from 800 Zulu on the 8th to 800 Zulu on the 9th. The Microwave Fall Sprint will be from 800 local time to 1400 local time on October the 8th. The SKCC Weekend Sprintathon will be from 1200 Zulu on the 8th to 2400 Zulu on the 9th. The Scandinavian Activity Contest on single sideband will be from 1200 Zulu on the 8th to 1200 Zulu on the 9th. QRP ARCI Fall QSO Party will be from 1200 Zulu on October the 8th to 2359 on the 9th. The Pennsylvania QSO Party will be from 1600 Zulu on the 8th to 500 Zulu on the 9th, as well as 1300 to 2200 Zulu on the 9th. Next up is the Arizona QSO Party, will be from 1600 Zulu on the 8th to 600 Zulu on the 9th, and then at 1400 to 2359 Zulu time on the 9th. Fist Fall Up Unlimited Sprint will be from 1700 Zulu to 2100 Zulu on the 8th. The PODXS 070 Club 160 meter Great Pumpkin Sprint will be from 2000 Zulu on the 8th to 2000 Zulu on the 9th. The North American Single Sideband Sprint Contest will be from 0 hours to 400 hours on the 9th Zulu time. UBA on contest for CW will be from 600 Zulu to 900 Zulu on the 9th. The 1010 International 1010 Day Sprint will be from 0001 Zulu to 2359 Zulu on October the 10th. The NAQCC CW Sprint will be from 0:30 hours to 2:30 hours Zulu on October the 12th. Phone fray will be from 230 Zulu to 300 on October the 12th. CW Ops Mini CWT test will be from 1300 to 1400 Zulu and 1900 to 2000 hours Zulu on the 12th, as well as 3 to 400 Zulu on the 13th. The RSGB 80 meter club sprint on CW will be from 1900 to 2000 Zulu on October the 12th. And on the 14th, we'll have the NCCC RTTY Sprint, again from 145 to 215 Zulu, and followed by the NCCC Sprint at 230 to 300 hours Zulu on October the 14th. The MCG Autumn Sprint will be from 1500 hours to 1900 hours Zulu time on October the 14th. The JARTS WW RTTY contest will be from 0 on the 15th to 2400 hours Zulu on the 16th. 1010 International Fall Contest CW will be from 0001 on the 15th to 2359 Zulu on the 16th. The Iowa QSO party will be from 1400 to 2300 hours Zulu time on October the 15th. New York QSO party will be from 1400 Zulu on the 15th to 200 Zulu on the 16th. Workdoll Germany contest will be from 1500 on the 15th to 1459 on October the 16th, both Zulu time. South Dakota joins the QSO party at 1800 Zulu time on October the 15th to 1800 Zulu on the 16th. The Feld Hell Sprint will be from 2000 hours to 2359 Zulu time on October the 15th. Asia Pacific's Fall Sprints on CW will be from 000 to 200 Zulu time on the 16th. UBA on contest on 2 meter will be from 600 Zulu to 1000 Zulu on the 16th. And Illinois now is going on a QSO party, and that will be from 1700 Zulu on the 16th to 100 Zulu on the 17th. The RSGB Rolo CW will be on the 16th from 1900 hours to 2030 hours Zulu time. Run for the Bacon QRP contest will be from 100 to 300 Zulu on the 17th. The ARRL School Club Roundup will be from 1300 Zulu on the 17th to 2359 Zulu on the 21st. Telephone Pioneers QSO party will be from 1900 Zulu on the 17th to 0300 Zulu on the 18th. Phone Fray will be from 230 to 300 hours Zulu time on October the 19th. CW Mini CWT test will be from 1300 to 1400 and from 19 to 2000 hours on October the 19th. And last but not least, from 300 to 400 on October the 20th. And that about wraps it up. All the information on this event calendar was taken from the WA7BNM contest calendar. There is a link to that calendar in the show notes for today's episode. So let's go ahead and head on over to Hamfests. Alrighty, let's move on to Hamfest. Starting on October the 7th, we have the Florida State Convention in Melbourne, Hamfest in Melbourne, Florida. The Pacific Northwest VHF Society Conference in Bend, Oregon. On the 8th of October, we have the Alpena Swap in Alpena, Michigan. The Barra Hamfest, the Barra Fall Hamfest in Township of Washington, New Jersey. The Helena Hamfest in Helena, Alabama. That might be Helena. I might say it wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. The Kitsap County ARC Hamfest 2016 in Birmingham, Washington. LaGrange Hamfest in LaGrange, Georgia. Parkersburg Wood County Hamfest in Mineral Wells, West Virginia. The Randy Griffin Memorial Hamfest in Morrilton, Arkansas. Swaptoberfest 2016 in Logan, Utah. The WCL ARC's 39th Annual Hamfest in Leesville, Louisiana. On the 9th, we have the Cara Fest 2016 in West Friendship, Maryland. The HOS ARC Hamfest in Queens, New York. Maysville Hamfest in Maysville, North Carolina. The Sufars Swamp Fest in Hubertus, Wisconsin. On the 13th, we have the Microwave Update 2016 Conference in St. Louis, Missouri. On the 14th is the Pacific Division Convention, Pacificon, in San Ramon, California. On the 15th, we have the Al Brock Memorial Hamfest and Tailgate in Rome, Georgia. The Andersons RC's 38th Annual Hamfest in Anderson, South Carolina. Boy, I don't know what it was. My brain just went totally blank on there and skipped a beat. So let's go again here. The ARRL Day in the Park in Columbia, MS. I believe that's Mississippi. Coastal ARS Savannah Swap Meet in Savannah, Georgia. The Greenville Hamfest in Greenville, Tennessee. Kingman Hamfest in Kingman, Arizona. The Muskegon Color Tour Hamfest in Muskegon, Michigan. The Sirocco Hamfest in Sirocco, New Mexico, which we talked about last week in the Spotlight. The Southside ARC Hamfest in Belton, Missouri. Swaptoberfest again in Real, Oregon. And on the 16th of October, we have the 2016 Kalamazoo Hamfest and Amateur Radio Swap Meet, Swap and Shop in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The Connecticut ARC Hamfest in Conneaut, Ohio. I'm totally butchering that name, and that was not even the Connecticut one. That was the Connaught, something like that, ARC Hamfest. It's a Conneaut ARC Hamfest. I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. Next is the Connecticut State Convention, the Nutmeg Hamfest in Meridian, Connecticut. Flea at MIT at Cambridge, Massachusetts. And last but definitely not least, the RF Hill ARC Hamfest in Sellersville, Pennsylvania. That wraps up for the Hamfests for the next 2 weeks. If you're going to be in any of these locations, head on over and check out their Hamfest. I'm sure you'll probably get some decent deals, find some good used equipment, some new equipment. They're from some of the ones that I've looked at, they have some really neat little history to them. So head on over, check them out, and we are going on to the news.
Alright, so first up in the news for this episode, the ARRL Foundation invites scholarship applications for the 2017 to 2018 academic year. The ARRL Foundation will begin accepting scholarship applications on October 1st from eligible radio amateurs planning to pursue post-secondary education in the 2017 to 2018 academic year. Completed applications must be received by January 31st, 2017. Individuals and clubs support many of the more than 80 scholarships ranging from $500 to $5,000 that are awarded annually. Applicants for all scholarships must be active radio amateurs and must complete and submit the online application. The ARRL Foundation Board of Directors is very pleased to be entrusted with managing this program. Their scholarship program is a wonderful way to encourage students to continue their amateur radio activities while assisting them with the cost of higher education. The ARRL Foundation scholarships are made possible by individuals or clubs, and we are grateful for their support, says the ARRL Foundation Secretary and ARRL Development Manager Lauren Clark, KB1YDD. The foundation reports that 81 radio amateurs were the recipients of the 2016-2017 academic year scholarship it administers. Awards totaled $120,150. Students planning to apply for the 2017-18 academic year awards should first carefully review the eligibility requirements and scholarship descriptions. Although only one application per applicant is required, applicants may be asked to be considered for as many of the scholarships for which they are eligible. Some scholarships have geographic criteria and other requirements. Check off only the scholarships for which you would like to be considered. In addition to completing the online applications, applicants must submit a PDF of their academic transcripts from the most recent completed school year. Applications are due January 31st, 2017 by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Applications without accompanying transcripts will not be considered. Award winners typically are notified in mid-May by USPS mail and email. Established in 1973 as an independent and separate IRS 501c3 organization, the ARRL Foundation manages grants and scholarship programs to support the amateur radio community. All grants and scholarships are funded entirely by the generous contributions of radio amateurs, clubs, and friends. Individuals, groups, and clubs wishing to establish an ARRL Foundation Scholarship Fund should visit the ARRL Foundation website. For more information about the ARRL Foundation scholarships, email the ARRL Foundation at foundation@arrl.org or call 860-594-0348. Again, that's 860-594-0348. More than 200 U.S. stations signed up for Scouting's Jamboree on the Air. So far, 219 stations have registered to take part in the Scouting's 2016 Jamboree on the Air, which will take place October 14th through the 16th. Registration remains open for the 59th annual event. Last year, 400 U.S. stations registered. JOTA officials are asking JOTA 2016 participants not only to register for this year's event, but to follow up with a post-JOTA report. We expect to have several thousand stations around the world signed up by JOTA weekend. Make sure you have registered your station, says JOTA coordinator Jim Wilson, K5ND. Designated scouting frequencies are on the Guideline for Amateur Radio Operators page. 20 meters is probably the go-to band during the daytime. Try moving off the calling frequency and spreading out while making this QSO, Wilson said. In addition to the DX spotting website, there is a scout station spotting cluster. He also suggested taking advantage of other communication modes, including the dedicated D-Star Scouting Reflector 033 Alpha, as well as the DMR IRLP with topic channel 9091 and Echolink with conference nodes JOTA-365. Doug Crompton, WA3DSP, and Elliot Liggett, W7QED, have set up All-Star Node 41760 for JOTA scouting conversations. Wilson added, in addition to the social media Scout link is an excellent way to connect to scouts around the world with only an internet connection. Dave Edwards, KD2E, and Andy O'Brien, K3UK, have developed a scout scheduling page, Wilson said. You can use this to post your frequency and to pick up on other stations as well. More than 1 million scouts in 150 plus countries, nearly 18,000 stations, are expected to take part in the JOTA 2016, engaging with other scouts to talk about amateur radio and their scouting experiences. JOTA is about conversations around town and around the world, rather than about context, Wilson said. If you would like some additional information about what JOTA, what the Jamboree on the Air is, I wrote a blog post last year during the JOTA 2015 event, and I will have a link to it in the show notes of today's episode that you can find at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/38. On a rather sad note, the Cows Over the World DXpedition may be at an end. The one-man Cows Over the World DXpedition has ended prematurely, abruptly, and on a very sad note. Tom Callis, KC0W, reported that a theft this week in Kiribati has left him with nothing. He told the Daily DX that his cows DXpedition is permanently QRT. He says, everything I own was stolen on September 28th from here in Kiribati. They took all the radios, computers, amplifiers, antennas, coax, everything. They even took my clothes and shoes. I have literally nothing left. I type this with tears in my eye, according to his QRZ.com page. The Cows Over the World DXpedition got underway last spring when Minnesota DXer fired up as KH8/KC0W from American Samoa. Other stops followed. After a short hiatus, Callis had announced plans last week to resume with his T30K COW operation from western Kiribati, but he said his intended top 25 most wanted DXpeditions would not happen. He has been financing the round robin DXpedition on his own. Callis was awaiting permission to operate from Tokelau and Nauru. All call signs in the All CW DXpedition Tour have included a COW suffix. Callis has told the Daily DX that all logs for his T30 COW operation have been uploaded to Club Log. He also expressed his appreciation on his QRZ.com profile page. Quote, I have read the many supportive comments posted on both QRZ and EHAM. A heartfelt thanks. Some guys have asked about financially donating to my plight. This is very generous, but I respectfully and humbly decline. Us people from the Midwest are like that, either too proud or too dumb, he says, in parentheses, to accept money without actually working for it. Please donate your time helping the kid learn Morse code if you want to donate anything at all. My bank wired me funds so I can now eat again. No joke. They even stole all my food. I have canceled all future DXing activity until I return back to the US and purchase new equipment. Good DX's long-lived CW from here in western Kiribati, where it's always 5NN, except for the local QRM makes you go QRT really quick, he says. In addition to T30 COW, his COWS DXpeditions have also included operations as 5W0 COW, T2 COW, YJ0 COW. Announced plans of operating from the Somalians, Tokelau, Bangladesh, and other locations are now off the table. In the past, Callis has operated from St. Helens Island, ZD7X, Cambodia, make that XU7XXX, Haiti, HH5/KC0W, and Martiki, TO00. And he has handed out more than 100,000 contacts overall, including those logged from his Pacific operations. That is a very sad note. It is very sad to hear what has happened to him. I've actually read quite a few stories about his Cows Over the World DXpeditions, and Callis, my deepest and sincere apologies, I guess, maybe. I hope that everything works out for you and you make it back okay. And hopefully this is not the end of the Cows Over the World. So, I guess that about wraps it up for the news for this episode. Alright, everybody. Well, that about wraps up this episode of the Everything Ham Radio podcast. I would like to thank y'all all for listening. Again, you can find all the links that we've talked about, as well as some additional information, in the show notes of today's episode at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/38. That's the number 38. If you'd like to receive emails on when I publish a new podcast episode or a new blog post, you can subscribe to my email list at everythinghamradio.com/subscribe. You can also, if you'd like to help me financially, there are several ways that you can do it. You can do it as a one-time donation through PayPal. You can become a contributor through Patreon, which is a per episode contribution. You can do $1, $5, all the way up to like $50, I believe. And you can also simply purchase stuff on Amazon.com through my affiliate link. Information on how to do all these can be found at everythinghamradio.com/support. I want to thank everybody that has donated already in the past, and thank you all for participating in the giveaway. And please, if you did not win the Nanuk case, please head on over to gigaparts.com and buy one. if you would like. They are very awesome cases. Use the discount coupon code of EHR10 to get 10% off your purchase of your case. So head on over there to do that, and I greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/everythingham radio, on YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio, and on Twitter at K5CLM. If you like what you heard here, please consider giving me a review on iTunes, a star rating. If you're listening on Stitcher, please give me a review there, and all the other places that you might be listening to. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time, this is K5CLM signing out. 73, y'all.